Alright folks, let's go over what you need to study for your unit test on biomes. We only have one set of notes for this unit, and it's this chart about 10 major world biomes. You also have the Lorax viewing sheet, which might be helpful for thinking about some of the bigger themes of environmental conservation that we discussed as a class. In your labs and projects section, you have your Biomes Introductory Web Quest and the paper outlining the Biomes project. When you get this paper, your unit portfolio on Biomes sheet will also be helpful for studying. And of course, you have your Biomes glossary. As always, there are some review games posted on my website in Phoenix. If you click on the review games link, it will take you to several different levels of Quizlets with pictures and characteristics of the different biomes. There's also a great game linked through NASA, and it was looking at graphs of temperature and precipitation over time in different biomes. I would definitely recommend checking that out. You can also find a full notes version of all the information in that biomes chart if you haven't filled it in for your project yet, as well as video links to this and other helpful videos under the link that says Miss E's videos. What is a biome? In our last unit, we talked about how the biosphere is the habitable part of Earth, that is, the places on Earth that life can exist. A biome is a step below that. A biome is an area that is categorized by specific weather patterns and plant and animal life, but it's not one specific location. If you wanted to study the plant and animal life in a specific location, you would be looking at an ecosystem. A biome is in between a specific location and the entire habitable area of Earth. When studying biomes, you need to consider biotic and abiotic factors. Biotic factors are living things, and abiotic factors are non-living things. Both of them are important characteristics in any biome. Biotic factors that are important in a biome include flora and fauna. Flora, that's another way of saying plant life, and fauna, that's another way of saying animal life. Some abiotic factors that are important to consider in a biome are latitude, which is distance away from the equator, and altitude, which is the distance above or below sea level of a specific location. These are abiotic factors that could influence which biome you are studying. The most important abiotic factors, however, in determining the identity of a biome are temperature and precipitation. You can tell a lot about a biome based on its annual temperature fluctuations and how much precipitation it gets. In this unit, we studied both aquatic and terrestrial biomes. Aquatic means pertaining to water, while terrestrial means pertaining to land. We learned about freshwater and marine biomes. We also learned about the tundra, the desert, the chaparral, the coniferous forest, the temperate deciduous forest, the tropical rainforest, and the temperate and tropical grasslands. Let's start in the temperate deciduous forest. This is the biome that we live in Virginia. The temperate deciduous forest has 4 seasons. The winters are cold, the summers are hot, the springs are mild, and in the autumn, all the leaves drop off of the trees. This is so that the trees can save water during the winter by not going through photosynthesis. A temperate deciduous forest might look like this, and might be home to a variety of plant and animal life. Because winters in the temperate deciduous forest can be kind of cold, some animals might migrate to avoid the cold temperatures. Others might hibernate to deal with the cold weather. The coniferous forest is located closer to the poles. It does not get as warm in summer and stays much colder year-round. In the coniferous forest, the trees are gymnosperm, meaning that they have their seeds out in the open, not encased in fruit or flowers. Gymnosperms have needle-like leaves that help conserve water so that photosynthesis can happen year-round. Sometimes these trees are called evergreen trees because their leaves do not change color and fall off in the autumn. The coniferous forest is sometimes called a boreal forest or a taiga, and is home to a variety of plants and animals. The tropical rainforest is the biome that has the highest temperature and highest precipitation. It's located right around the equator and has the most diversity of plant and animal life of any biome. The tropical rainforest is home to many unique plants and animals. Because it is so warm and because there's so much precipitation year-round, these plants and animals have interesting ways of dealing with their circumstances. Many animals have adapted to life in the trees. Some frogs even lay their eggs in little pools of water that form in plant leaves. Some plants have adapted to grow around other plants to get access to sunlight. In spite of all of this diversity of plant and animal life, the soil in the rainforest is actually quite poor. The coldest biome we talked about is the tundra. The tundra is so cold that there's a layer of ground there called permafrost that is permanently frozen. The tundra is found close to the poles. It is pretty much cold year-round, but depending on the season, such as summer in the northern hemisphere, there can be long periods of daylight, or winter in the northern hemisphere, long periods without daylight. Animals in the tundra have adapted to the cold weather by migrating, hibernating, or having structural adaptations such as warm fur or small ears to conserve body heat. The desert is a very hot and dry biome. It receives very little rainfall. Plants in the desert, such as a cactus plant, have deep roots to reach groundwater because rainfall is so scarce. Animals might have scales or light fur to retain moisture without overheating. Many animals in the desert will also be nocturnal or crepuscular so that they can avoid the heat of the day. In the daytime, the desert gets very hot, but at night, because there's so little tree and cloud cover, the temperature can drop significantly. Plants and animals that live in the desert must be able to cope with these extremes of temperature. Often mistaken for the desert is the chaparral. The chaparral is also called the shrubland or scrubland, and it's characterized by slightly more moisture and slightly milder temperatures than a desert. The chaparral is prone to fires because it can be so dry. Plants that live there have to cope with the heat and the rocky soil, while animals that live there have to contend with the rugged terrain. Temperate grasslands are found above and below the equator. They are temperate, meaning that they have 4 different seasons, and they are characterized by great diversity of herbivores. The grasses that grow in the temperate grassland are hardy and can withstand fires. The roots stay intact and can regrow into a new plant. All of the animals that live in the grasslands are very dependent on the plants that grow there. The temperate grassland can also be called a prairie or a plain. The tropical grassland is similar to the temperate grassland in that both are home to a great number of herbivores and lots of different grasses. But the tropical grassland is warmer because it's closer to the equator. It also tends to have a wet season and a dry season. The dry season is warmer and the wet season is colder. The tropical grassland is also called a savanna, a veld, or the pampas, and it's home to the greatest variety of grazing animals on the planet. We learned about 2 major aquatic biomes. Marine biomes are simply saltwater biomes. That is to say, all of the world's oceans. Marine or saltwater biomes are home to a great variety of organisms depending on the location of the ocean. Freshwater biomes are simply biomes that contain no saltwater. They are found on all of the continents. Freshwater biomes include rivers, lakes, ponds, and swamps. Now's the part where I'm going to review everything
really fast. Our study of ecology has taken us into specific biomes. Biomes contain both non-living and living factors. The identity of a biome depends mostly on temperature and precipitation, although latitude and altitude can come into play as well. A biome is characterized by specific plant and animal life that is very much dependent on its location on the globe. Biomes can be terrestrial, on Earth, or aquatic, in water. We learned about the temperate deciduous forest, the coniferous forest, the tropical rainforest, the tundra,